All right, so yeah, this week we're talking about that kind of F, and or last week we talked about that kind of F, and then that kind of C, and then that kind of B flat, but it could be in any key. But this week we're talking about reducing it. So instead of this, you're just doing, instead of root, third, fifth, root, you're doing third, fifth, root. So it's kind of a first inversion. It's real nice because there's not a lot of notes in there. And so that's your F. And then if you look at your C, that thing, you could just do it like that. Hammer on. So it gives you that Stonesy sound, but you could also just and then your B flat, rather than being this full thing, can just be root, third, fifth there. So that's pretty simple. You got that, and then you got that, and then that. You can add in this note if you want to on the F. We didn't talk about this in the lesson, but if you just get that sound, that note's in play as well. In fact, if you combine all the notes from this bar here, think of that as that's your virtual nut, as you said. If you combine that with all the notes in this scale, you get pentatonic. You put in those hammer-ons. You can't go wrong. It's because this is your virtual nut. And you can put in these passing notes too, just to give it that chromatic. You like that chromatic shit? I might be getting ahead of us. And then when it comes to adding stuff in, the king is this guy, the B flat. If you add in the pinky on the second string, you get a B flat 6. And when you do that, that forms an inversion of a minor. That's actually a minor chord. B flat 6 is the same as a G minor. Maybe more about that later, but that's how you get it. And a lot of bands use that. And you can hammer into it, or you could just play it like. Anyway, the next thing we talked about was putting it on the third string. That's your sus4. That's not a minor chord, that's a sus4 now. And, if you add your thumb there, you can get a really Pete Townsend type sus4. And then you can add it up here too and get a sus2, if that's the one that's 2. Or it's often called the add 9. I never mentioned that either, but if you count it all the way from the bottom of the chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, could call it an add 9 or a sus2. So basically this guy can go on and if you bar it you can get a scale. Anyway, we won't get too much into that. I felt like you really want to focus on chords, but if you look at all these little inversions, there's always a scale on them. And I'll just show you just a little hint of that, and we can get more into it if you're interested in that stuff. Whatever you feel, man. I think, oh yeah, the only other thing I never talked about was turning your B to a B minor, or B flat to a B minor. And to do that, you just get rid of this note and add that one in with a bar. So that gives you a nice okay, I think that's everything we covered. Have fun.